Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's daily meditation sit. Really lovely to see you all logging in the sidebar again. Great to see so many familiar names popping up there as well. So welcome, everybody, and welcome if this is your first time joining us today. Back once again with Kyra Duolingo today. We will be here for an hour, so starting with a short reflection, then a meditation, and then going into a bit of time for interaction at the end, questions and answers. So any questions you have about your practice or things that are alive for you right now, or anything that Kyra Jewel has said, you're very welcome to ask them. You are warmly invited, if you'd like to come on screen. If you want to come on and ask your question in person, just type a message for me to let me know in the sidebar there, and I can bring you on at a moment that seems appropriate. The other way to ask questions is to pop it in the Ask a Question box right under the video screen there. You'll see it says Ask a Question. If you click on there, you'll get a pop-up box and you can put your question in there, and Kyra Jewel will see those. We'd ask you to avoid putting messages in the sidebar, just because the sidebar can move very quickly, and it's likely that Kyra Jewel will miss it if you put it in there. I would also like to mention Dana. We as Sangha Live have ongoing running costs, and the only way we can meet those costs is through contributions that we get from you. If you are able to give anything financially, you'd be warmly invited to do so. We'd be really, really grateful to receive anything that you can give. We have to meet various ongoing costs, which are quite substantial. So if you value what we're doing, and if you value the teachings that you're getting from Kyra Jewel and from Martin, and you're able to donate anything, and you're moved to donate, we would be grateful to receive it. Just click on the Offer Donation / Dana button underneath the screen, and you'll be presented with a few options for how to give, and much appreciation in advance for anything that you are able to offer. So I will take myself off, and I hope everybody enjoys the session.
So, hello everyone. It's good to be back with you. So just a warm welcome. It's important to be together, especially in a time like this when there's so much that's difficult. And I just let you know that I cannot control much the background noise today because there's been a power cut. So I have the windows open because there's no fan, no air conditioning. And luckily we have an external battery that's powering the Wi-Fi. But I have less means to close the windows and control the sound outside. So I guess many of us are aware and in touch with just the real pain that's unfolding, especially in the United States right now. So on top of the pandemic, which the US, I think, has been a leader in deaths of any other country. So on top of 100,000 people having died plus, we now have demonstrations and protests in the streets of dozens of cities after the tragic murder of George Floyd, which came after the tragic at the hands of police, which came a few weeks after the tragic murder of Breonna Taylor at the hands of police in Louisville, Kentucky, which came a few weeks after the tragic killing of Ahmaud Arbery, who was jogging on a Sunday morning, killed by former police. So, and this is of course on top of, hundreds and hundreds of people killed by police in the US, often in racially charged ways. So there's many people in the US and around the world that are angry, that are grieving, that are fearful. And this comes at a time when there's already so much vulnerability and pain as the virus affects people of color, Black and brown people in the United States, Indigenous people, at disproportionately high rates compared to white people. And this is due to systemic inequalities in housing, employment, healthcare, and education, and structural racism that pervades the country and our world. So it's hard to be here with other than a heavy heart. I can say that for myself. And now as the protests, become violent, there's new deaths of police officers and protesters. And I have learned that there's protests in other places, like in Germany, thousands of people coming out to say Black Lives Matter in front of the US Embassy. And they're beautiful stories as well, of course. Today, a friend of mine told me, you all may have been aware that there's a famous football player who, instead of standing for the national anthem, he kneels. This is Colin Kaepernick. And he kneels because he doesn't want to support systemic racism that he feels standing and, saluting the flag represents. So a friend of mine told me, this is in the Washington Post, that at a protest recently, protesters kneeled and police also kneeled. They kneeled in respect, and that there was even police and protesters holding hands in certain places. So it's really important to uplift these experiences, these moments of beauty, also of a Buddhist priest carrying a backpack of food, of granola bars and water to give to protesters to make sure that they were well hydrated, and people often forget to eat. These acts of care are numerous, innumerable, amidst all of the suffering. So I read an article in the Yes magazine, and I want to read some of it to you because it's very moving to me. It's an Iranian author who lived through the civil war, or through the Iran-Iraq war in the 70s. And it's about, the title is When Savoring a Pleasant Moment is a Radical Act. So it's about how we can take care of nurturing ourselves and bringing in joy even in the worst moments. And so the name of the author is Ari Harnovar. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, but the author, Ari Honorvar, they write, "For Persians, one of our most precious ways to summon joy is with poetry. I remember one night in particular in my home city of Shiraz, Iran, during the war, while sirens blared and the electricity was shut off, warning of an imminent attack, my family and I, as feeling especially brave, snuck to our rooftop to watch the anti-aircraft missiles shoot into the air. To my 7-year-old eyes, the brilliant red patterns in the pitch black sky rivaled the most magnificent fireworks display. But underneath the awe, there was a simmering terror brewing in my belly of not knowing who was going to die next. Was it going to be me, my best friend, my sister in Tehran, my teacher? And then someone from another rooftop shouted a verse of Rumi's poetry into the clear night air. Even if from the sky poison befalls all, I'm still sweetness, wrapped in sweetness, wrapped in sweetness. This was a poetic challenge to the bombers, but it was also a gauntlet thrown down to any Persian in hearing range. The verse soon was rejoined from another rooftop. While others sing about love, I am the Sultan of love. Even as a young child, I could feel the ecstasy of these verses in my heart, radiating to every cell of my being. In an instant, my world not only became sane, but infinite and glorious. And what bomb could ever touch that? So we each have to find what is our Rumi poetry for us that can inspire and shift our hearts from fear to connection. And for me, I'll put the link in the chat, and we'll put it in the recording page as well. This is from Yes magazine. Here is the link. So for me, compassion is a kind of Rumi poetry, the practice of compassion, of connecting to the suffering of others to my own suffering, and opening my heart to that, to really express care, to express the deep desire that this suffering be relieved. And it's a way of really touching our connection, our interconnection with everyone everywhere that is going through something difficult, just like we do at times. We might not be in the same situation as them now, but we may have touched something like that in our lives. So I'd like to offer a meditation on compassion, and it's coming from Jack Kornfield in response to the coronavirus, but I'll also adapt it for what's being called fed up risings. This is a colloquialism in the US. When we're tired of something, we say, I'm fed up. So an uprising and fed up becomes a fed up rising. So we'll do this practice together, and I invite you to honor whatever arises as we do this practice, and let yourself feel whatever you feel. And if there's numbness there, if there's a feeling of being shut down, let yourself bring compassion to that too. Yeah. So we turn to these practices to help us keep our minds clear and our hearts open. When things are really tough around us. And we know how to face these times. We have the capacity to be with this. We have the legacy of our ancestors who also knew how to go through and persevere in the midst of famine and drought and war and epidemics, who knew how to be steady and take care of each other. And so now this is our task also. And generating compassion is one of the most helpful things we can do, because it keeps our heart connected to what's happening, and it's empowering in our staying with and staying open to and being responsive to what's real, the suffering that's really there. So the Sufi say, overcome any bitterness because you were not up to the magnitude of the pain that was entrusted to you. Like the mother of the world who carries the pain of the world in her heart, we are each endowed with a certain measure of that cosmic pain and are called upon to meet it in compassion instead of self-pity. So compassion acknowledges our vulnerability, and it brings out our strengths so that we can be a lamp, a bridge, a source of medicine to the hearts of others and ourselves. And for so many who are anxious or stuck, who are sick, who are angry, who are in despair, who are afraid. So to practice this, find yourself a comfortable position. letting yourself sit in an easy posture that's also stable. And let your mind and body settle. Set the inner intention to begin to train the heart and open in compassion. First, starting where it's easy, wherever that is. Think of one person who you care for, where there's a natural and easy love or concern, and who you are concerned about right now. And picture them, this loved one, or this person you care for. Hold them in your mind's eye, in your heart. An image, a memory of them. As you do so, feel the natural care and love you have for them. Okay, can you hear me now? So you all can hear now? Great. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So as you think of this person being in touch with their fears, their sorrows, their difficulty, noticing the natural arising of a tenderness, this upsurge of compassion and care in response to their pain, to their fears. This is the natural response of the heart. As you see with a heart of compassion, you become like the Buddha or Kuan Yin Avalokita, the Bodhisattva of infinite compassion, or Mother Mary, as you wish them to be safe and well. As you visualize them and think of them in this tender and caring way, let yourself begin to recite inwardly, like a whisper in the mind or a prayer, these simple phrases and words of compassion. Even if at times it feels mechanical or brings up other non-compassionate feelings, hold it all with tenderness and compassion, and know that you're planting seeds of compassion and trust. As you see this person in your mind's eye, then begin to say inwardly, may you be held in compassion. May you be safe and well, healed and protected. May your struggles, your sufferings, and fears be eased. May you live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. As you offer these phrases of compassion and well-wishing, sense or imagine that the energy of care from your heart can extend to them, surround them, and touch them. May you be held in compassion, and may you be safe and well, healed and protected. May your struggles and fears and sufferings be eased. May you live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. Now let yourself imagine that this dear one, this loved one, gazes back at you and wishes the same for you. Breathe gently. Allow your heart to open and be touched as they gaze at you and they say, "May you too be held in compassion." Feel their well-wishing. May you too be safe and well, healed and protected. They want this for you. May your struggles, your fears and sufferings be eased, and may you live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. As you take in their compassion and caring toward yourself, place a hand on your heart and wish this as they do for you. May I hold myself in compassion. May I be safe and well, healed and protected. May my struggles, fears, and sufferings be eased. And may I live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. Feel how this is possible for you. Let this in and let it fill you. Let your heart be transformed, your being touched. Now bring in another person that you're concerned about. As you visualize them, offer these phrases. May you too be held in compassion. May you be safe and well, healed and protected. May your struggles and fears and sufferings be eased. May you live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. As you breathe and practice with compassion, sense how your heart opens each step further. Now you can sense and picture and remember those others around you, those who are frightened, those who are devastated, those who are sick, those who are caregivers, those who are working night and day to provide care, those on police forces in every city, taking care of those all around you. And let your heart open like a field of compassion. May all of you be held in compassion. May you all be safe and well, healed and protected. May your struggles and fears and sufferings be eased. And may you all live with a compassionate and peaceful heart. Finally, let the heart open further across the community and the world around you to all of humanity, all those affected by the virus and illness, all those in vulnerable populations who are facing the results of injustice and centuries of oppression. Those who are caring for parents and friends, children and old people, caregivers, families everywhere. Those who have lost their loved ones to illness or to police brutality, to structural racism. All those migrants in India still walking home, thousands of kilometers to get home, in the heat, without food, without water. May all across this globe, interconnected in our humanity, may all be held in compassion. May all be safe and well, healed and protected. May all your struggles and sufferings and fears be eased. And may you all live with a great, compassionate heart, a peaceful and tender heart, wherever you go, wherever you are. Feel the blessing of your heart. Now you've become the carrier of compassion, and you can sense yourself moving through the world, seeing those around you, those well and those sick, those safe and those in danger, those protesting and those oppressing, those strong and those who are caring for others, seeing them all with the eyes of compassion. Now you know that you have within you the great heart of compassion. It is essential for the healing of the world. Rest in it. Trust it. Embody it. It is your home. Let yourself repeat this meditation or create for yourself variations of others to whom you wish to extend your compassion. You can change the phrases and words so that they speak from your heart. Carry this spirit as you move through the world. Being particularly attentive to and tender with all those who are frightened around you. And you will become the gift that the world needs. And I'll close with this poem. From an unknown author. It's called Kuan's Prayer for the Abuser. To those who withhold refuge, I cradle you in safety at the core of my being. To those who cause a child to cry out, I grant you the freedom to express your own choked agony. To those who inflict terror, I remind you that you shine with the purity of 1,000 suns. To those who would confine, suppress, or deny, I offer the limitless expanse of the sky. To those who need to cut, slash, or burn, I remind you of the invincibility of spring. To those who cling and grasp, I promise more abundance than you could ever hold on to. To those who vent their rage on small children, I return to you your deepest innocence. To those who must frighten into submission, I hold you in the bosom of your original mother. To those who cause agony to others, I give the gift of free-flowing tears. To those who deny another's right to be, I remind you that the angels sang in celebration of you on the day of your birth. To those who see only division and separateness, I remind you that a part is born only by bisecting a whole. For those who have forgotten the tender mercy of a mother's embrace, I send a gentle breeze to caress your brow. To those who still feel somehow incomplete, I offer the perfect sanctity of this very moment. So, welcome on back, my friends. And we'll make sure to post that poem with the recording as well. So we have time, if you wish to share how that was for you in the chat. We also have time for questions. Yes, so the poem, we will post it. We will post it on Sangha Live. Maybe Caroline can put in the link to where you'll see this poem with the recordings. Really appreciating your chats coming through. Thank you. Yeah. So there's a link from Caroline now where you can find this poem. Okay, Lucy. Yes, Yvonne, thank you for this question. It's so hard to ask a question in these times, dear friend. Yes, I understand. I also was feeling, Yvonne, it's so hard to give a talk in these times. It's so, there's so much pain. But we do it together, right? We do it together. So Yvonne's question is, how to maintain our balance when all is so shaky around us? I think we want to give ourselves space to be shaky and to be tender and to hold ourselves with great compassion. This is such a difficult experience. And it's like that beautiful quote of the Sufis that, we're all tasked to hold some measure of the world's suffering. And we can keep it from becoming bitterness, from becoming despair, if we can access compassion, if we can really agree to be fully with the pain that our life has served us. It's our serving. And each of us has to work through our portion. And we work through it, we transform it by being present with it, by not turning away. We do have the tools and the practices, and the Sangha is a huge support to, help us to hold it together. So I think we need our tears. We need to be able to cry. We need to be able to find solace in the beauty around us, like that amazing story of poetry shouted from the roofs during an airstrike in Iran. I'll post in the recording of this talk also a little YouTube video that was going around from some of my friends and colleagues of a 21-month-old baby girl, not even 2 years old, playing the drum set along with a song, like perfectly, like getting all the little nuances of this song. It's stunning, and it will make you smile. And I'll include that because we need to be able to take in the wonders of life that are still happening in the midst of all the darkness, of all the tragedy. There are little 21-month-old babies who are drum geniuses, and they're just joy radiating as she plays the drums, quite on rhythm. Never seen anything like it. So we have to figure out where we can nourish ourselves. There's a story of Thai Thich Nhat Hanh on the battlefield after a lot of people were killed and wounded. He's going around with his colleagues, helping the wounded, caring for the dead. And in the midst of all of this destruction, he notices a beautiful flower blooming from the earth. And he really takes in the beauty of that flower. The death, the destruction, it's real. We need to address it. But it doesn't mean that the flower isn't real as well. And if we see flowers around us, we need to smile to them. We need to take deep breaths and breathe in that beauty. It's not only the suffering that's happening. There is also life-giving, we're wrapped in sweetness, wrapped in sweetness, wrapped in sweetness as well, even as poisons fall from the sky. So police officers are kneeling and holding hands with protesters, even as people continue to die in this violence. We have to take it all in. Thank you for the question, Yvonne. Yes, we'll post Jack's meditation also. It's beautiful to read your words in the chat. Thank you all. I'm so nourished by each of you. So this is a question from Elodie. How do you manage indifference and egoism in those times of looking for collaboration? So when we are wanting to collaborate with others, and when maybe the indifference is coming from others, or egoism, where others, it sounds like, don't want to work with us, don't want to collaborate. I think whatever we can do to find some common ground, to find some way to connect, where they can sense that we are safe, that we are genuine, then we can try to communicate that. It might work, it might not work. They might be receptive, they may not be receptive, and in that case, we can keep our hearts open to the possibility that they may one day be open to collaborating, but we can keep moving forward. Maybe we need to find other people to collaborate with us, or maybe we just need to step out on our own and manifest what we feel needs to happen, and then when other people see us, then they may join in, and they see us manifesting what we really want. They may be inspired and join in. So, keeping our hearts steady, keeping our hearts open. If we believe in what we're trying to do, other people will join us at some point. We may just have to keep doing it alone until the right conditions are there for other people to join us. So we don't give up on other people, but we also don't wait for them if they're not ready. We keep the door open, and we can also keep moving if we're inspired to do that. So, yeah. Thank you for your questions, for your deep practice today. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to be with you all. I really needed this also. I think it would have been hard for me to experience the depth of my own feelings if we hadn't come together. So I'm grateful for us reflecting each other and holding each other. And hopefully we can get to more of your questions tomorrow. So take good care of your tender hearts today, and bring compassion into the world to those around you as much as you can. Much kindness. Be well all.